like a melody, sucking on a day like a true emotion. So, baby, talk to me like lovers do. Hey there, kid. Welcome back to the Tim Voxelbaum Show. My accent hasn't gone away after not using it for about 2 months or however long it's been since I last recorded this podcast. It's only gotten a little worse. I don't like teasing about the word salad. Anyway, I was singing a little bit of music there, the Sweet Emotion song by Eurythmics. Eurythmics. You know that song? I'm not going to sing it, but and the thing about it is, that's a famous band from the 70s, from the 80s, and the lead singer is still alive. My jaw will relax in a few hours. Here, relax. Annie Lennox is the lead, is still alive. And you haven't heard a single thing from her since the 80s, and it's like, her songs are still just as good. Do they not do music anymore? Do they? You haven't heard about them. You haven't heard a single thing about the Eurythmics. Maybe you did. Maybe they aren't as popular as they are. You can't be in the Eurythmics, still alive on this planet, and not be touring, or at least being offered a shitload of money by somebody to tour. So we're starting on a business topic here. This is business. Eurythmics, okay, yeah, it's music that started off in the time where music was still good. It held up past a couple decades, past a few weeks. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, before I was even alive. So this is not just me being an old man. I'm saying even when I was a kid, I was still too young to. I'm saying that I'm not old enough to even understand what I'm talking about. So it's not an age thing. It's just true. It's absolutely true. It's not just, oh, he's some old ass, just some old guy who doesn't get the current music of today. As much as it sounds like I'm not I know everyone thinks that they're always going to be hip. I'm not just another old person saying for the millionth time that they don't understand the kids' music. I understand. I made it myself. I produced it myself. That's how easy it is. So I think I'm qualified to say that it's not as good because it's just business. It's just like, hey, throw some sprinkles into this trendy topic right now. Oh, you missed it. It's not going to make money, even though it had a hook. It's only relevant. The song is only relevant for this particular zeitgeist in time. It's not It's not fucking timeless. Very the opposite of timeless. Very timely. That's not in a good way. In the sense that this idea is not that good. It's only good because everybody has nothing else to do right now. So that's music today. It's just like it's an argument without anybody talking back to them. You're like, look how good I'm doing here now, motherfucker, and then nobody's responding. It's not a battle. It's not an equal fucking battle. You're just watching somebody who spent money on a video, and then somebody else who spent also a bunch of money on a video. It's like, who do I know is more talented? They both spent the same amount. I forgot what I was talking about, but yeah, music's it sucks now, but that's fine because we still have it from when it was good. They didn't delete it. They didn't even know how to delete music back then because it was too good to be even recorded in a format that's deletable. You can't just delete music from the 80s. You had to burn it or use a magnet. It wasn't that hard. You just use a magnet. So but the point is, it was physical. It wasn't just ones and zeros in the cloud, and it's like, oh, I forgot my password. There goes the album. They wouldn't care in today's age. They would just say, well, it only took 2 minutes to make, so we'll just make it again. No, back then, they had to painstakingly record. Not painstakingly, they just had to be good. They just had to take a lot of amphetamines to where they could practice without any pain. They would just keep, this is not a joke. And funny. No, pretty much, except for the ones that were just naturally schizophrenic, like Frank Zappa, he did coffee and cigarettes. That's enough. No, the normal musicians, all of them, as talented as they were, it was because they had access to amphetamines to nurture their talent, and then they didn't need as much later in their lives, They still needed some, but they cultivated their voice, so they didn't need as much. They didn't need to practice anymore. They still took it, of course, because who the hell wants to fucking drag your body around? Who wants to drag their body? I don't want to use the term raw dog, but that is the terminology of the current day and age. The current terminology to not take drugs, to just go through life normal as God intended, which is debatable. Whether you believe in God or not, it's debatable if he wanted us to not do drugs. That's very debatable. I would say it's a very hard thing to argue against. So actually, I would say it's not a God-intended thing to just go through. Let me just drag every muscle. Let me just kick off a chain of events, starting with, some muscle, and then keep doing that millions of times. I'm just going to keep activating a cascade of neurons to tell other neurons, to tell muscles, to tell proteins or bones to move. That's a lot of electricity that comes from where? It's got to come from somewhere. I'm not an idiot. You can't just you can't just wake up and be like, okay, here I am. Let's start moving a shitload of muscles and dragging a skeleton around. Why? To do what? Hopefully, usually something productive, right? The point of life usually is to be productive, to leave more than you took. The love you take is equal to the love you make. So Beatles, we're still talking about the Beatles. That's kind of all you have to be in life is a Beatles fan, and you'll have a framework to get you through every situation. It's like, fuck, I'm getting sued for $400 million. Fuck, what Beatles song was this? Oh, Taxman. That fucking George Harrison was not the same amount of money, different situation, but same fucking thing, man. It's a tax man. One way or another, you're gonna get taxed in life. And the Beatles have you covered. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Blah, blah. They have that song for that, and it took me 0 seconds to think of, because it's true. So, do I need to keep talking about that subject of how you could be a Beatles fan and nothing else? Because they wrote music that actually held up through the years. They didn't just put it on the cloud, on Amazon Web Services. That's not very mystical. Well, did you hear the new Beatles album? No, my band, I don't have a good internet connection, and it didn't have a distributed cloud network to get it to me. And no, I didn't hear the latest. Back then, you had to go to like a store and hope that they had it. That's cool. Or hear it on the radio. And that was actually like an interesting thing to do. It's like, whoa, There's this thing called a radio that you own, this appliance that all it is just to hear sounds. It's like, wait, isn't every appliance, doesn't everything do that? No. This is just to hear music that you couldn't hear anywhere else. So we're talking about a different universe. Literally, a universe away from us is how distant the Beatles are. Just in the past 50 years, it's become, the universe has closed and opened up shop, rebranded itself. I don't just talk about the Earth, I talk about the universe because there's actually more going on. Okay, this is a self-help tip. This is a tip for you. There's a world outside the world. Did I make this up? I feel like somebody should give me a... Okay, so there's a world not just outside your house. Forget about your house. The world is outside your house. We know about that. Forget about the world. Look outside the world and see that there's other worlds, one of which, at least one, probably way better than this one. The grass, I don't know, is it greener? It's something different and probably better. I don't know if it's greener, but it's better, it's purple. They got better grass on other planets. I don't have to say maybe. I don't have to question this philosophically because it's just true. Some grass is better than other grass. You ever look at other people's lawns? They're not all the same. The grass, not taken literally. There are better places than others. It's just that once you find out, so it is a philosophical statement still to say the grass is green. That is still true. It's a mindset. It's like, oh, if I was just in this different location, that would cure my mental illness. That's what that means. Yeah, that's still true. Going somewhere else obviously isn't going to cure your mental illness unless it's a super different place. Unless the place itself, the essence of it, is curing in some way, then it's just another geographic location. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. It's either a mindset shift or it's a actual qualitative shift. I'm not talking about the mindset. I'm talking about the qualitative actual difference in geographic location between, say, I'm not even going to talk countries, but they're becoming homogenized. So it doesn't really make a difference which country you're even in at this point because everybody's it's becoming shameful to even kind of have a country that's your own. It's like, nope, we kind of just want to just be closed. You're not allowed to do that unless it's a shitty country that nobody wants to go to, then have at it. Real convenient. If you happen to have a really cool country, you're not allowed to just lock it up for other people. No, everybody should be allowed. That's the current thinking in Western dumb culture. So it's not universal, just in Western dumb culture. It's a dumb slice of Western culture. So I can't throw the baby. I'm not saying all Western culture is dumb. I'm saying there's a sect of it that's especially dumb. That's what they excel at is lack of insight, is one dimension, is not knowing any other languages. That's what we're good at. I can't speak for them. I can't really say I'm one of them. I'm very multilinguistic. I know English. I know PHP, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Python, C#. That's it. So that's a lot of languages, and I'm fluent in a lot of them. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But is that the same thing as speaking? Is that the same thing as being multilingual in a spoken language? No, of course not. It's not the same thing. Neurologically, it's similar. It's not the same thing, though. It's way easier to learn a programming language. But I don't know. They say that about languages, too. They say that once you're multilingual, it becomes easier to just keep learning more. So it is the same thing in some regard, just not the full scope. The modalities are not equal. Yes, a programming language is a language. Neurologically speaking, you could speak in a programming language. Not literally. You're not going out there in the world going, hey, fucking semicolon. You're not doing that. I'm saying you're thinking in those languages, and that is the same as speaking them to your brain. Your brain doesn't care. It instantiates languages regardless of the medium. It's all abstract to the brain. The brain doesn't have a special muscle in it that only reacts to language. Everything that is meaningful will go through the part of the brain that processes language, because what is language? It's a tool to get to meaning. So anything that's meaningful, even in the smallest sense, and even in an iota, for you to consciously assign meaning to it, it goes through the language center. Not when you just have a knee-jerk reaction. That ain't what I'm talking about, because that's not cognition. That's just the peripheral nervous system, whatever it's called. It's the autonomous. It's the one you don't control. If you have any regard over the process, it's subconscious, it's partially subconscious, but that's still part of your cognition. Everything meaningful that involves cognition, which is mental, that's a linguistic process because it goes through the language center. It has to assign meaning to a pattern. That is a linguistic process. So we can't really call that anything else, because it requires semantics, which is a linguistic concept. So how the hell is this not already mainstream science is beyond me, but I'll find out. I mean, I'm only spending my whole full-time efforts and money as an independent researcher and funder of the research. I'm putting forth a lot of my resources to answer that question. So why is this so obscure yet obviously true? It's like to me, it's obvious that, obviously you need a language to get to the answer to a question. How could you just magically know the answer to something just by dreaming, just by it popping into your head? Either it pops into your head as an image, and then you translate that image into language, or the words just pop into your head. Either way, there's words. Get where I'm going? Even if it's just an image, if you create semantics like, oh, this means that, and when you see a cat, does the word cat have to show up in your head? No. The concept of a cat gets recognized, gets instantiated in your head. That's a cat. You don't even have to say it. Still, what do we call that process of assigning meaning to an image? We call that process semantics. We see a shape, we go, that means this. That's all semantics is when you read a sentence. What does that sentence mean? It means this. Whether that's a concept, a word, an image, or another language, another sentence. It's really not that complicated, and I am not an expert on anything except for programming. I guess I am an expert, a generalist expert on software development. Not even that. I'm not even that good at that. There's not. I'm pretty mid. I can't say I'm mid-level. That's not. Not miss. That's just not true. That'd be somebody that's only been in the field for like 10 years or yeah. So even if you're an expert, you kind of don't feel ever like an expert. So I'm not an expert. Even if I am qualified on something, I'm still not an expert on neurolinguistics. I don't even know if that is. I don't know if that is. I know you could put the word neuro in front of anything. It sounds a lot cooler. You could also put the word astro in front of everything, and it makes you sound a lot smarter. You could say you're an astro pornographer. It's like, whoa, what the hell? How'd you get that job? You could say you're an astro molester. Like, whoa, how'd you do that? You could say you're an astro. You're an astro hitman. I don't know. You're an astro. Okay, I can't think of any funnier ones. Can't think of any funny ones besides astro barber, astro stylist, astro beautician. It makes everything sound cool. Just make it have something to do with space, and you get to call yourself an astro mineralist, or astro nutritionist. There you go. I'm an astro nutritionist. I tell you what you're not allowed to eat that comes from the sky. Yeah. See that comet? Don't eat that. Okay, that's a funny joke that I'm pissed off that I don't do stand-up anymore because no one's ever going to fucking hear it. Hey, I'm an astro nutritionist. See that rock in the sky? Yeah, don't eat that. See, I'm not saying that's going to kill, but it would kill sometime. Like, it wouldn't kill all the fucking time. Like, it depends who you go up after. If you go up after like a fucking some asshole who just does dick jokes, then it would bomb. But also, it depends on my delivery and my confidence too. See, I'm looking at myself in the fucking. See, I'm always looking at myself because I'm so self-conscious of how I look all the time. Okay, that joke would work as like an opener, maybe even if the energy is really strong on my part. You have to really go up there. And I'm already losing the confidence because it's been 2 minutes since I thought of it, so it's not funny to me anymore. See, that's life as an ADHD. Hey, that's a funny joke you thought of. And if it was a normal person, they would think that was like their new closer or some shit, their new opening bit. They'd be, oh, that's my new opening bit. So meanwhile, it's like something I would think of and like throw away and never do again. And it's like, yeah, that's why not everybody does stand-up who's funny. Just because you're funny doesn't mean you're gonna like obsess over everything you fucking like make it. Oh, I gotta keep that. I gotta sculpt it into something even better. It's like, why? So you could entertain others? That's sad. I mean, I'm not shitting on it, but isn't that kind of sad? And it is. That's why I can't even say it. So I can't even finish that, is because it is kind of, not just kind of, sad to make that your life, not your living. That's cool once it becomes your living, it all of a sudden becomes the coolest thing ever. But the minute before that, you're just, whoa, that's what you're doing? Damn. You're just trying to entertain people? Because even if you are doing that as a living, that's hard. For what? To get made fun of for the second you fall off? Like, all that happens now is if you're a famous entertainer, people just shit on you. So it's like, you're going to fuel, that's what you're provide. That's your essence. That's your contribution to the world, just being fodder for internet gossip. It's like, why am I talking? Because I'm explaining to you why you should do something else with your life. Look at me. I'm funnier than you, probably. Not you personally, but like on average, you, as in everybody in the world, not that funny. And I'm not doing, compared to me. Sorry, I didn't finish that because it sounded very narcissistic. And I don't like to just brag, but it's just true. And like, that's not even something I want to brag. I don't even really want to take any credit for that. It's just one of those things. It's like, yeah, I'm more than funny enough to do it, but I'm not talented enough. I don't have the skill to repeatedly say the same jokes and still think it's worth. Like, that's, you just like Mitch Hedberg. He made a whole career out of that, but even he didn't get big. And he was the best one. He was like the best one ever to just be a comic that just makes up funny sayings that have no connection to real life. And Stephen Wright. But Stephen Wright did get famous. Okay. Why do millions of autistic kids think that they could be the next Mitch Hedberg? It didn't even work out for Mitch Hedberg, and they're all lining up. It's like, oh, I also have funny sayings that don't have any connection to reality. Anyway, it's just, we need something to give these people to do, man, besides something that isn't profitable. Because to do stand-up and to get good at it, you gotta be fucking insane, man. And dedicatedly insane. And not just that, talented as frick. That's rare, man. Like, you gotta be talented, crazy, have unrealistic, I don't know, it's not unrealistic to just do stand-up if you're not expecting anything to come. But Louis C.K. is the best comedian alive. It is in the English language, at least. I don't know. It's probably maybe someone funnier in Quebec, but in English, there's no. I would have heard about him, about them. It might be a woman, but anyway, he dedicated like more than 10,000, like 100,000 hours to the shittiest, most grueling experience. And you have to just keep going. Because you don't have any people around you to give you support if you're on the road in the middle of some shithole town that you don't even want to know exists, let alone be stuck there with no social outlet. Nobody. You can't relate to anybody because they're regular people and you're this clown. So you got to keep doing that, this sad, lonely existence for what? Some dopamine. You get some dopamine when it goes well, and that's it, though. That's freaking it. If you actually like it for the sport, you'll probably, at some point, become pretty good at it. It's just that very few people actually do enjoy the process of taking a joke and improving it. It's work. Who the hell wants to do? If you're funny and you want to do that, you're a psychopath. Because most funny people, the reason they're funny is because they don't look at it as a project. They just look at it as, hey, look at that. They're just pointing something out effortlessly. They don't craft. I mean, okay, you have to think a little bit. So it's like, oh, let me think but that ruins the joke. And if it's not spontaneous, yeah, most funny people just go, hey, that's a funny connection. Hey, that's kind of like this. That's all it is. Hey, you look kind of like this. All you have to do is call somebody in the audience by the name of any celebrity, and you'll get a laugh every single time, even if it's not anywhere close to the right It has to be vaguely. I mean, of course, this happened with Chris Rock. I'm not saying there's no exceptions and you're not gonna get fucking slapped in the face, but when it goes wrong. But it got a laugh, though, right? It got a laugh. If it didn't get a laugh, nobody would have cared. He wouldn't have gone up there. It's the reason he gone up there is because it was getting a laugh. So if you want to get a laugh, just say, hey, fucking Al Franken. You just have to point out somebody in the audience and what they look like as a celebrity. Let's go, whoa. Oh, I don't know. Frickin' Tobey Maguire was in the building. I don't know. Make it creative as possible. Be like, well, like, don't just name somebody that's super obvious. You know, it's kind of like, it's good if it's obscure. If it's obscure, like, whoa, who's this guy? Ryan Seacrest? Because no, who the hell is this? Who's that guy? He's gone. Whatever happened to Ryan Seacrest? He used to be like this evergreen celebrity. He's like, he's just always here. He'll always be famous. He just works. He just always knows how to get hired. Turns out there was a limit to even his work ethic, and now nobody even knows his name. Ryan Seacrest. What does that mean? What the hell sound are you speaking through your lips? Anyway, Jack Black, he's still famous. He's been famous since the 90s. He's beating Ryan Seacrest at his own game. He's more famous than Ryan Seacrest on any level. Acting, singing, hosting. Jack Black went on to American Idol in like 2011 and sang Seal, Kiss from a Rose. And everybody was like, pretended to not like it and everything. But meanwhile, Jack Black, he's more famous than those people now. He's still doing well. So the joke, he gets the last laugh. And also, pretty sure his voice has been in major motion picture soundtracks, Randy. So you are feeling it. You are feeling it, I think. In retrospect, maybe you should go back and review his singing there, because it actually was pretty good. And Seal was there. I think about this all the time. The skit, this one-time skit that happened live in the finale, in the finals of season 10 or something, because it was a very important moment for me, because I was like, he is decent. Like, he's a decent singer, but for American Idol standards, yeah, he wouldn't get very far. But come on, give him a chance. Like, and then Seal's there as a joke. Like, I thought it was great. Why am I talking about it? And okay, the reason also I remember is because Jack Black, he seems like he's self-conscious of his singing. Like, he's not a trained singer. He's clearly a self-trained, like, rock wannabe type singer, and it's not like his singing has gotten him anywhere except for the fact that you need to sing to be in a band. It's not like his singing is that good. It's not the vocal talent. It's the words, the lyrics. It's the humor. So I was like, maybe he's self-conscious. Maybe he's actually trying to be good to impress Seal, and he was trying his hardest to sing that fucking song. It's not an easy song, and you can't just half sing it. You can't. You can't just half sing Kiss from a Rose. You're either doing it or you get out of here. Throw the mic. Turn off the mic. I'm getting it confused with another song. I've been blah, blah, blah. I'm getting it confused with that because it has the same note. I kiss from a rose. Whatever. I don't know. But the point is, it's not an easy song. It takes soul. Jack Black doesn't have that type of soul. He has the soul, his soul, but it's contemporary rock. 70s. That's where his soul is from. They're imported from his rock, glam rock, whatever you call that. Hard rock, Metallica. And he can't. He's a not a real singer, but he is a singer. Jackie Chan is a real singer and an actor. Like there's a lot of singers who are singers, but they're not singers. You know what I mean? Like they sing in movies, like that Anna Kendrick. You think she's a good singer? No, she's an actress who sings. There's a difference. And there's that Leah Michelle, right? The one from Glee. That person is a singer first, actress. She's Jewish, so that they could. You're just talented. If in one thing you're talented in everything. So she's just Jewish. That explains why she could also act. But she didn't have to learn the acting. Anybody could do that. It's the singing that is very hard to just fake. You can't really fake yourself singing alive. So she's good, but she's not famous anymore because she's old. Who the hell wants to cast a 45-year-old actor? So Joaquin Phoenix, I don't think he could sing. He was in a movie about singing. Was he actually singing in that movie? Probably. That was when they actually started making it so the actor had to actually sing. Not like back in the day, like in Nightmare Before Christmas, where the speaking actor was different than the singing actor. They do that sometimes. Lion King. I don't know. I don't know who sang. I think it was actually Jonathan Taylor Thomas. I want it to be true, but I'm not sure if it is. If he actually was the one to sing. I feel like we have to look that up because it's kind of like one of those things. It's like kind of important. You can't just leave the podcast hanging without answering that. So Jonathan Taylor Thomas singing. So we kind of have to know. I don't care if there's any dead air. He did not sing. See, I had a feeling. That he wasn't that talented. He was just a kid that happened to be chosen for the role because he was already famous. He was a child actor who was already very famous and good. But yeah, he wasn't necessarily, was he talented? I don't think it takes that much talent to read those lines. He wasn't a singer, man. That takes fucking talent. I don't care how old you are. You can't really just fake singing. So anyway, he was not the singer in Lion King, but those other guys were. Nathan Lane. Not Nathan Lane. What the hell is that guy's name? That guy was actually, he did sing the song about the warthog. He sang the freaking warthog, and it was Nathan Lane. He sang the warthog song, okay? How many times I gotta say it? He sang it again last year, or this year, on Disney Plus live, and it was pretty good. The other guy, the warthog was not him. He was the meerkat. Sorry. The warthog was the guy with the husky voice, whatever. The smoky voice. afraid of my name. Anyway, that I don't know the lyrics, but you know what I'm talking about. That fucking song, really good. It means no worry. It's a good fucking song, and it just, as soon as it comes on, it's like, fuck yeah. It still holds up as a fucking jam because of the production value. It just has this beauty crafted into it. Like, it's so perfect and timely, but also timeless. It just brings you right fucking back to the early 90s. And it has this modern tint to it still to this day because it was computer animated. And it was one of the early computer animated films. I don't think it was Foley. Not Foley. A lot of it was still hand-drawn. Frame by frame. So the emotions on the lions' faces, like very high quality animation. Like Simba's dad, when he's showing his emotion on his face, is very well done. It captures the expression of a disappointed parent and slowly animates. It doesn't just, it's not this mutated bullshit. It's hand-drawn with love. So those old Disney movies will take you out of this digital fatigue. It'll bring you back. It'll just give you this feeling of fresh, organic quality that isn't around, doesn't exist anymore, but it can. There's still such a theoretical thing as craftsmanship. It's just not appreciated anymore. There's no market for it. Everything, if it's not mass producible, who cares? Yeah, you might have one unique item that's valuable. Why aren't you mass producing it then? Everything that's good, it pretty much, we produce many of them. What was the last truly novel invention? Bitcoin? Look how many copies of Bitcoin. There's millions of them. They're all the same. Nothing special about any of them. So it dilutes the original product and the craftsmanship that went into it, because we're just making carbon copies. Carbon copies is called that for a reason. It's because it's not original. And that seems to be what everything is these days. Is not. This shirt is not original, man. It looks like it's a real shirt, but it's a fake, like 3D printed shirt. They didn't even put a hole in this pocket cover, so I can't close this pocket, and it just looks dumb. It's not the type of shirt you're going to take to a tailor. It's made out of cloth that you're not even supposed to put on a human body. It's like facade fabric. You're only supposed to look at it. You're not supposed to interact with it in any other way besides photons. So anyway, it's not comfortable. It's itchy. I only wear it because it looks real. It looks like it's denim season. I finally have long enough hair and a beard to wear denim. Okay, how long have we been doing this, for God's sake? I have not been timing this. I do feel like it's coming to a point. All right, let's just start the actual show and just do about 10 to 15 minutes of actual broadcasting. So here, what do I got to give you? Okay, so I've been working very diligently on a project in the research field. So it's big money coming in to somebody's bank account, not mine, because I'm spending money on research and development of a novel scientific and philosophical framework, which the name, it's called, who cares what the name is? I don't care what the stupid name is. The name will probably change, to be honest, because it's not I don't have a good name for it. But it's a theory based in neurocognitive science, neuroscience, to make it more highfalutin. So, and I'm working with other people. It's not just me going crazy anymore, just pacing around, going like, okay, how do I get this thing going? How do I get the message out there into the world? I'm no longer just kind of feeling like I'm hopelessly alone. I got other people that are very qualified, and so it's a relief that at least some people know about what I'm doing. So, at least if something happens to me, I don't gotta be paranoid. So anyway, so I'm working on this framework. And the framework is just the framework. That's just the core structure, the core skeletal thing that makes it cohesive. It's like the scripture. It's like the Bible. But who cares about the scripture? The whole point of a religion is to have magical powers and to set your own laws, create your own church and culture and cult. Forget about church, just cultism. You get to start your own cult. So that's why that's what the framework is all about. So I could eventually start a cult. And then you make money. And anyway, I'm just kidding. I don't care about that. I'm just kidding. I'm not consistent. I'm not evil enough to be a cult leader. I'm smart enough. I know how to manipulate people. I just don't fucking like doing it. I'm not a sociopath. Sorry. Like, yeah, it's a humble brag. I'm saying I can if I wanted to. I know how to manipulate. But who the hell wants to do that? Not everybody gets pleasure out of that shit. I like to kind of have other people manipulate me. Maybe I like to be the one to get influenced by other people for a change. Yeah, like it gets tiresome being the only person influencing other people. Like Richard Feynman got so tired of being Richard Feynman to an extent. He loved being Richard Feynman. He wasn't going to just not be Richard Feynman. But the point is, that gets boring when you're so far ahead of everybody else. Who else invented Feynman diagrams? So far, nobody. So he's walking around. Every time he takes a step, it's the guy who invented Feynman diagrams. It's like, okay, so I'm the guy that invented this thing that everybody knows of. And without it, they wouldn't be able to do these whole fields. Yeah, you're going to have a bit of an ego. So he's cool. And I want to be not like him. I want to have somebody to look up to. And so for me right now, that is myself in the future. That's really the best role model, is who you want to be that you're not already. Who do you want to become? Let that guy, tell you what to do. So if you have an image of yourself, this is like manifestation. I can't even say the word. There's no S. Manifestation is like this hocus pocus term. Forget that. I'm just saying, if you want to reach a goal that's big, pretend you're talking to that person that already reached the goal, and what advice would he give you? So I listen to that guy, and that guy usually isn't wrong. he's usually way ahead of the curve. So if you just actively follow his advice, you from the future, whether you know it or not, they're out there. You can't really exist in the past without having somebody referencing it from the future. So we're referencing the future, and by doing so, the future is looking back at you. It just is part of the laws of kind of the universe that you can't have something in the past without something also in the future balancing out the seesaw. This is just physics. This is just causality. This is just logic. So whether you know it or not, you actually are in communication with somebody from the future. So you should probably maybe just listen a little sometimes to the messages you're getting from them. They're subtle, but you'll know when you'll just know. Usually in retrospect, but still, you didn't know at the time. You just didn't listen. In retrospect, you'll be like, yep, that was definitely me from the future. It's just that, obviously, it's you can't just get the message clear. It's not possible to just have it give you the message, or else that would break causality, and then you would just follow the instructions, and then the butterfly effect would change the outcome. That's why they can't just directly, but they're still observing you and be like, oh, fuck, why did I do that? So instead of waiting for them to do that, react to it now. And then they'll be like, oh, I don't have to do that. Thank you. He listened to my reaction. He took my reaction as a warning for how not to act in the future. And that, yeah, it's a little bit of a paradox, but it doesn't really go against quantum physics. It's actually kind of baked into quantum physics. There's like particles that look into the future, and also I don't know. I'm not a physicist. Not even an amateur. I'm very, very basic. I'm a noob. But as long as you have a good brain, you could become proficient at any topic, no matter how complex. You just break it up in chunks. You understand the chunks. Every chunk, of course, has to be a concept, right? It has to be some kind of learnable concept that you could learn without knowing other concepts, or else how would you learn? You have to iteratively learn enough concepts, then you'll have a holistic understanding at some magical point in time. Just like, whoa, I guess I kind of understand everything about this field or whatever. I guess I have a holistic understanding to some degree when I started just with one little concept at a time. That's how everything is. You can't just absorb everything all at once. Okay. 2 minutes. Okay, so physics is not a different place that exists outside of abstraction. Layers of abstraction are where information is also processed. Our brains, for example, every time you have a thought, that's an abstract phenomenon. That's a pattern that's not rooted in physics, right? It's an abstraction. But so is everything else. Our thoughts occur within a particular layer of abstraction, but that's not the only layer in our heads of abstract. There's the subconscious. Those are also layers of abstraction below ours that communicate with ours. They give us information. It bubbles up. It passes through to get to our context. And then we pass it along, just like everything else in the whole universe. I just described what everything in the whole universe is doing at all time. It's taking a message, processing it, ooh, look at that, and sending it out. Sending out a different version of that message that retains the meaning in some way. You're mapping an internal message and creating a metaphor. That's what everything's doing, not just your brain, not just when you get information from the subconscious. From the subconscious's perspective, that's all that freaking matters. If you were your own subconscious, you wouldn't think there was anything else in the whole universe. Yeah, you would know about other entities, but you would think that you're the center of attention, just as everything else does in the universe. Every entity is looking at the world from a frame of reference. Our frame of reference happens to be some arbitrary layer between other layers of abstraction where information flows, and information cannot exist in a formless sense of the word. It cannot be formless. It's why it's called information. It's not information, it informs, but also the word form is in there because you need form to have language or to have information. It's in the word. So that implies that there's a structure to it. And what do we call structured information? Well, we call that a language. So every layer of every abstraction involves a native language. The frame of reference is what dictates the native language. So our native language would be our minds, whatever is spoken in our minds. The subconscious, not quite there, not quite at our exact frame of reference. It's perpendicular. It's right next to it, not perpendicular. It's adjacent. So we could feel it in some sense. Yeah, it bleeds over because everything exists on a continuum. So, but there's nothing particularly special about our particular point of reference. Every entity has one, and we need others to give us ours. We need other frames of references to even have one framework. You can't just live in a vacuum. Nothing observes the universe without interacting with other observers. It's always a collaborative phenomenon. Just looking at a freaking color, you're not just looking at some dead inorganic pattern that involves atoms and molecules interacting with your atom. No. This is a collaboration between your abstraction layer frame of reference and at least two others. You can't just have one other, you need two others to give you the boundaries of 1 and 0, positive and negative, or else you can't make a value decision. So, but what do I mean by observers? Anything qualifies as an observer if it could be detected. Anything that interacts with anything else, you could say, is also observing that other object. Even if it's inanimate, the act of interaction between particles is the same thing as observation. So just by looking at particles, I don't know how many other entities you're interacting with, but it's more than just you. You're not the only person taking in the information. I don't know if the other entity is as smart as you, or if it's you from a different time, if it's you from a different perspective. But it's true. There's more than one you inside you. The proof is in neuroscience when you split apart somebody's hemispheres. Through the corpus callosum, if you sever ties between hemispheres, you will have two perspectives. There'll be the left side and the right side with their own opinions. So there's always multiple observations. We just don't know because it's flowing seamlessly, it appears to be at least, continuously flowing back and forth. So we don't know. We can't tell that there's actually multiple perspectives in any observational moment in life. Every qualia cannot be experienced without other observers identifying themselves to be like, yo, I'm this color. You mean this guy in between us. That's who you were talking about. Red is in between green and blue. So blue is always to the side of red and green. You always need to at least subconsciously know about the other colors to make a value judgment about any particular one of them. This is a very weird new topic that needs to be studied because I'm not smart enough to understand. This is true for colors and it's true for musical pitches on an instrument. If you have perfect pitch, you will just always know, like, boy, you'll just always know C. Boy, you'll just always know that that's a C. But the reason you were able to know that that's a C is because it has a particular quality to it that no other note has. And you did have to hear the other notes before you could fully, on an absolute level, be like, no, I know without reference what a C is because I learned to the point where I could, without any reference, it's just embedded. It has its own semantics all on its own. This sound, boy, like that sound, regardless of instrument, it's not the timbre, it's the feel, it's the emotion of boy, whatever that is. That's different than, hey, like, bah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, clearly that's a different sound. Like, boy, yeah, 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 get out of here. I want to go back to boy, yeah, 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 yeah. It's more tame. So you can assign subjective qualities to musical pitches on an absolute level, and they will stay true forever and ever. A C will always sound like boy, yeah, yeah, yeah. That calm sound, that calm, well-rounded feeling of C or whatever note that actually was. I don't have perfect pitch, but you could memorize that, but you can't just memorize it after hearing it once. You have to have it neurologically baked in. It's very complicated, and we don't know. They have thicker cortical activity. It's a neurological thing, but it's a semantic thing. And to have perfect pitch, however you got it, you did have to go through the experience at some point in order to learn. In order for it to become this effortless thing to see colors and be like, that's red, you had to learn what the colors actually were. The other colors, too, not just red, but that's a different... The language part is different than the actual experience itself. The experience of the color red has nothing to do with labeling the color red. You could call it anything. The experience of red is fundamental and primitive. It's a primitive semantic pattern that our brains developed before human language. It's still linguistic, and for the human brain to conceive of red, I think it does have to know about the other color. I don't know. Maybe it can't prove it. Maybe that'll be proven untrue or something. But the thing that makes me pretty confident about this being the case is you can't make any value judgment without contrast. There's no such thing as absolute logic. Even if it's colors, you still need to say this is yellow because it's not blue, it's not green. You just have to go by relative comparisons and contrasts for every value judgment. So it's not really a problem if we don't have the evidence yet, because it's just logically, theoretically, infallibly kind of proven, I think, by examples in enough other domains that it'd be very hard to dissuade people. Once you see enough examples, it's like, okay, yeah, I get it now. This guy, this idiot, this crazy guy, he's right. He might be nuts, but he is. I get what he's saying. Everything does. If you wanted to, you could categorize entities as having a frame of reference with its own native language. It works for everything in the world and beyond. That's why I'm able to talk about things beyond the world. It's relevant to AI, but that's boring. Too late in the sode. Too late in the sode. It's relevant for everything. So anyway, just because you don't know that something's a language, if it has semantics, it's a language. Instincts are language. Instincts are forms of intelligence. We don't even know the definition of intelligence. Isn't that embarrassing that as a species, we don't even have a universally agreed upon definition of intelligence? Isn't that embarrassing? Holy shit. No wonder we don't even have flying saucers if we don't even have a universal definition of intelligence. I'm not saying I do. I at least know that I know where to start. It has to do with how effectively and efficiently you could map metaphors. How efficiently you could translate meaning from one language to another. That's it. That's intelligence. Doesn't matter what domain. I just said it's any language. It's how good you are at translating it into another language. Doesn't matter what language. It could be a programming language. It could be a body language. It could be interpretive dance. Those are all languages. So that's it. That covers everything. So can you quantify that? Yeah, you probably freaking can. Just take how many bits of data, meaningful representational bits of data, can be semantically jammed into these things you're doing. I don't know. No, it's not easy to quantify semantics, but just because I can't think of it offhand doesn't mean it ain't possible. I'm not a mathematician, man. And even if we can, okay, yeah, what I guess the thing I'm dancing around is there's no one way to do it. That's the thing that I can't, that's the reason I'm dancing around the subject, is because there is never going to be a one-size-fits-all formula for how to quantify meaning. That's kind of the whole point of why we're here, is to assign meaning to things. So there's no one-size-fits-all formula for like intelligence, but there are ways to do this. There are ways to very reliably quantify semantics and how good you are at translating between meanings. That's it. That's all intelligence is. That's all it is in any domain. How good are you at translating an experience into writing? Well, if you're good at that, you're a genius. I mean, that's it. That's all intelligence comes down to. How good are you at translating an experience into another form of that experience? Into a representation of that. All right. I'm starting to lose my ability to talk without making funny noises, because that's what happens when you don't have anybody to challenge you. An hour into a podcast, winning, you get kind of, after a while, you just start to fool around when nobody's challenged you for a whole hour of just killing it. But I'm just kidding. I'm going to look back at this and be like, holy crap, that was dumb. You shouldn't have been that cocky. You said that thing that was not right. So I recognize that just in an hour from now, I will look back at this with remorse. But I had a good time, nevertheless. So I will see y'all in the next time that I feel it's right to give y'all an update on reality, my life, your reality, which we all share and inhabit the same one.